Do you know who's writing your legal content? Um,
Yeah,
do you know who or what?
that
I
too.
guess we should say who or what. All right. So if it's a human, you should know what their qualifications are, where they came from, and have they done it successfully before.
Yes.
That I can confidently say we have. If you are using a marketing agency, uh, know who your marketing agency is using as well, especially if you don't have a legal marketing agency and that's not all they do. Like I'm thinking of like,
Mhm.
when you have a Hennessy Digital, they're doing legal. But if you have
Yep.
someone that does all the industries and they're still providing your content, just know that the person writing that content, if it's not AI, is the same person who just wrote for the coffee shop, who wrote for the barbershop client of theirs, who's writing for the
Yeah.
construction client. Someone might be very capable of doing all that, but you're getting a generalist. And if they're
Yeah.
using AI and you don't know it, well, then you need to know it because if they are using AI, what's their vetting process internally for that? Hey, everybody, it is Alan Watson and Victoria Lozano from Blue 7 Content, and we today are going to have a discussion about everybody's favorite topic, law firm SEO content. Just kidding. Obviously,
Yay.
it's not everybody's favorite topic, but it's one of our favorite topics. So, anyway, Victoria, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about this. I've become a real nerd about it over the years.
Yes.
If you hadn't.
Well, and if anybody doesn't know, Victoria and I, we stumbled into this industry in the mid-teens. We both needed something to do. We both came from a completely different background in education. We had to find something to do, and we ended up freelance writing for a law firm, for a marketing agency, and then it went from there. We started Blue 7 Content over 5 years ago now, and we focus pretty much exclusively on SEO written content, mostly for law firms, but also for other industries. So that's our basic
Yeah.
background. Victoria went to law school in the midst of all this and is a practicing lawyer in Chicago. All that to say, we come with this with some experience. We have seen major shifts and changes in SEO. And so we just want to
Mhm.
talk about it. And so the first thing I kind of want to ask is, Victoria, what was SEO like when we started? Before we had the company, when we were starting writing content, what do you remember about what we were writing?
Well, it's kind of interesting that you asked that because I kind of want to go a little further back. So when I started freelancing, I was actually entertainment writer for a newspaper at our hometown. And the kind of writing that I had to do there, right? So for the newspaper, you have to start like very middle grade sentence structure,
Right.
right? Very simple to read, very fact centered, upfront, very fact centered. It's kind of like giving me like AI review, right? So when you first start the topic, there's no like fluff, right? It's just straight on, on August, whatever. I saw this band at this place from this time. There were this many people there. It was fantastic. And then after that, go into the actual, like, here's what it was like, um, all the while bringing up like the restaurant name and all that. So I say all that to say because when I first got into freelance writing, it wasn't necessarily about any fact base. It was more like, what keyword needed to be there and how many times can we stuff that keyword into a paragraph. Or it was always very, I mean, I remember starting out, it was very limited, 500 words. There wasn't a lot of words. There wasn't a lot of real estate in words that we had to play with, but it was a lot of keyword stuffing. There wasn't any particular format. Typically it was pretty block, but all that is because, using the internet on your phone, the translation between website and screen size wasn't necessarily there. A lot of people weren't surfing the web on their phones just yet. I know that was like really an expansion in the mid-teens, I think,
Yeah.
uh, versus like the 2010s, going in there. And so when I first started writing, I remember it was for a real estate company. and that's all I was doing was stuffing real estate agent, like, into these things. And then when you were the one that got me onto legal industry, and there was a little more nuance to that when I first got into it, right? There was a format nuance. It was very basic format. It was definitely like the H1 title, but I don't recall there being any other title shifts, between H2 and H3. I remember we were becoming cognizant of like, here's what paragraphs should look like. We don't want them super long. The keyword stuffing was still kind of there though,
Yeah.
right? Like we weren't limited. The placement, there was this concept of everything has to be up front, versus throughout the page, but it really didn't. When I was writing it, I wrote it because I was really interested. And I think because I was really interested and invested in the topics, it came off better versus
Yeah, I don't think,
I
we didn't get much direction, but I think you and I,
no.
and this is probably why we've been successful with Blue 7, because you and I pretty early on found a format to use. Like, we made the
Yeah.
format, and, uh, when we started the company, one of the first things we did before we had any writers with us, it was just Victoria and I writing stuff, but we created guides because,
Yeah.
uh, that we didn't have any guides, and we didn't wanna have to bring on any writers and put them through exactly what we went through. We wanted to improve the process, right? Because uh, when you don't give a lot of direction, you're not going to get the best quality. They just happened to, not to toot our own horn, they got lucky and got us who are like, we're perfectionists, so we can't turn in subpar
Yeah.
work, but a lot of people can, and that's legit. If you don't have a good guide, you don't know
Yeah.
exactly what to turn in. So yeah, that basically explains how we started. And with
Well,
this
like,
content,
also, sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
There was only really one central place to get your freelance writer, which was Upwork.
yeah, yeah.
And the way that Upwork functioned was almost like a wanted ad in the newspaper. It was like a couple sentence saying like, "Hey, we need someone to write a paragraph or write a page on this." Like the concept of SEO, I mean, I don't remember. Maybe I just blocked it out. I don't know, but like, I don't really remember that being like a prevalent search word for these people who are looking for writers. And I think that's when, you and I were like, there needs to be some formalizing. There needs to be some formal practice. And I think that's why you were like, we're gonna write like you're gonna write the guide. Like you're gonna write the guide for how to formalize this process of getting writers in order to write. So just
Well,
to
and
kind of
like
I think that's
when you
important.
say, when we looked, if you had looked up legal content writer, legal SEO content writers, you're going to land still today, you're going to land on the big full service SEO companies. And
Yeah.
we work with a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them are fantastic. A lot of them are not fantastic. But the thing is that they all have capabilities of writing, right? And not all of them specialize in only writing. And that's, only a few companies do.
Right.
We do Lexicon. There's a few others that specialize in just legal content writing. And honestly, the reason we didn't do full service is because you and I know writing, and we knew we weren't going to be as successful if we tried to do a lot of things that you and I didn't know personally.
We didn't
Because with
know.
you going to
Yeah.
law school and with me operating and getting the business up and running, we didn't have time to learn completely new things. We do now. Like, we are expanding out,
Yeah.
but that's been such a slow and organic process. But along the way, the writing has changed too. Like, there have been big shifts in the way that we write content and the volume. Because when we started, the game was volume, flood with blogs, flood with, this many, practice area pages and location pages, which are still valuable. The location pages are, but we don't write nearly as many blogs as we did when we first started. We don't write
Oh,
nearly as many as flood the zone topics. And that, to be honest with you, between keyword stuffing and flooding the zone, are a reason why a lot of people have mistrust of SEO agencies in general today, uh, because they just felt like that was just tactics that everybody was using, and it was just getting
can
over on
I just
people.
this just totally reminded me, like, if we could talk, I think, for an entire hour on the, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, on companies, like, preying upon people's ignorance or
Mm,
these, like, parasitic, like, leeches that come in, promise you a bunch of crap, and then, produce 10,000 pages, and then, it's all crap. And it's just, and then or they say, we'll start you out on this price, and then they hike you up by like thousands of dollars after a certain amount, without telling you.
yeah.
Or just being like, well, this is why it's so important. And the amount of distrust and the amount of like, I really think it affected, like, there was a time in which a writer could get a really nice, like, salary, like, it's all freelancing, but you could live very well. And I think those types of, when everyone was, like, really flooding with pages, it really devalued the practice. And
Yeah.
I think once we get a little more into the conversation about AI, I think it's also doing that as well. It's creating it's parasitic people coming in and promising the world, flooding with AI, realizing that it's not really working. It's devaluing what we do as writers in general, which means we now have to fight against whatever pay, or working with exhausted people who have been gouged. And now we have to be empathetic and work with them on the budget that they have. And, that just totally triggered a whole, like, a
We've been
whole
around the
memory, and it
block,
just
y'all.
like,
We've
oh,
seen a
I
lot of the
hated
stuff.
it.
Uh,
Yeah.
but well, when you said AI, well, devaluing the work is one thing, and of course nowadays we haven't heard this a whole lot, but yes, we some of our clients have gone the AI route and tried to go the AI route. Some people
Yeah.
did it early on. We've had some circle back um, to have us edit the AI work that was y'all. It was just not good, and I'm not gonna. We're Victoria and I have been very open. We're not anti AI.
Yes.
Where
No.
we respect the craft of writing, but we also understand that tools are tools. But
Yep.
if you're going to turn over your whole writing process, which a lot of the people on LinkedIn, the hype men, mostly hype men, for AI, you can do all your writing. You can get out your writing team. We save you $100,000 a year. It sounds great, um, because it does create. AI is spectacularly good at a lot of things. It's also really good at being wrong. It's so good at being wrong that you honestly can't tell that it's wrong unless you know what you're looking for. The problem is a lot of the people producing the legal AI content aren't entirely sure of what they're supposed to be looking for. Now, I bet you if we formalized a way and built our own GPTs, we could probably do a pretty damn good job because everybody on our team has come up through this system. It's almost like boot camp, right? They know legal
Yeah.
AI. So they would be able to point out and see things that, oh, that's just not good. That law might not be right. Oh, we can't say that on a law firm website. Down that list, a lot of the companies that are using AI or law firms or marketing agencies don't have that background in the system. I mean, you're an attorney. We have attorneys on staff. We have paralegals on staff. We can verify and look at a lot of these things, and that's why we use human writers, like, right? We know that
Yeah.
this part of the field is so nuanced. That doesn't mean to say that you have to have a high level style of writing for every single page. Yes, AI
No.
probably could do some of this work to a certain point, but I ask this: is if you are going to use AI to cut costs, what's the verification system to ensure that you're providing quality? Because if you're a company like us, all you have to go on is reputation. And
Mm.
say we started using AI and we started slipping. It's going to be very hard to get back some of that reputation. And I think we've seen pushbacks. LinkedIn is just filled every other post. It's a debate over,
Yeah.
do we use human writing? Do we use AI? Is it okay to use some of one? What's the limit? I don't have the answers. I mean, we haven't found
Yeah.
the answer. What we do know is what we see, right? We have grown since ChatGPT came out. So there is a need there. Somebody somewhere is deciding that AI is not cutting it for this particular part
Yeah.
of the industry. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same. I because I'm an attorney and I have friends who work in legal tech who are actively improving legal tech. Um, it kind of just makes me laugh because they have access to being really loud, like for their opinions and their, talking points to be really loud versus others. I
Yeah.
was working in a law firm not too long ago, and the partner still didn't know how to make a PDF.
Oh.
So there's a like on the boots ground reality of, how to use these tools versus what these huge talking heads that use this legal tech software all the time are able to talk about. And it's an easy answer for these attorneys to just be like, I don't know what this is. All I know is I need to get words on the website. So I'm just going to, you know, freaking this Joe guy said that if I put a prompt in the AI and it comes out and I tell it to make it SEO, it's going to do it and I'll just throw it up there. I don't have time to talk to someone about it. I don't have time to research it myself. If they say it can do it, I'm just going to do it. It's $10 a month for the prescription, not even the good kind, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whatever. Is anyone, tracking that, what is it, like the ROI or the KPI or whatever? Like, is anyone tracking any of that? Like, no, no one's doing any of that. Is that attorney really reading it? No. And then conversely, you have the attorneys that read it so closely that they can't even decide what to put on their site, and then they stall and nothing's on their site, or it's just crap that's still on there. So the boots on the ground versus the sensationalist maybe that we see on LinkedIn are two very different stories. Um, and I feel like a lot of people cop out and use the AI, but it's always like a year or so later, they're just like, man, my site really sucks. And because I'm getting bigger, people are noticing my site more. And now I have to go in and actually use the correct combination of human and an AI tool,
Yeah.
you
And you
know?
don't want to, I mean, copy and pasting. If you're a law firm or if you're a legal marketing agency, the worst thing you could do is copy and paste something from ChatGPT over to your back end and publish without any verification. I hope if there's anything you take out of this, that's one thing you don't want to do. If you want
Yep.
advice of how to verify the AI output and whether it's good for your law firm website, you really need to talk to your SEO content provider about that. And if they say it's all good and you look, do some research. And because there have been sites that have gotten slapped down because they use direct copy and paste AI. Don't know of anybody in our particular industry that's encouraging that or doing that, but it's a danger. You don't want to
Yeah.
do something now to jump on the bandwagon that you might get left out of. And then 6 months from now, a year from now, Google penalizes you because once you're penalized, getting out of that penalty box is damn near impossible. You don't want to mess up your forward momentum. But again, search is changing. That doesn't mean we haven't changed how we write things. We have incorporated a lot of the new ways of doing things. When I say that, I mean, like, keywords are important, but they're not all encompassing now. I keep saying SEO is everything because your
Yeah.
entire presence online and even offline, I'd argue, contributes to your SEO now, like everything.
Yes.
We say
Yes.
we have the socials getting indexed. We have Reddit as a huge knowledge base for GPTs for all these different
Yep.
LLMs. Um, your Google business profile, your reviews, my God, are they important? Directories, as much as I'm not a fan of directories, directory, if you're listed there,
Yep.
this dark social, shout out to Conrad, these things you do in the background for your community and within the community, that's all SEO. But the thing is, I guess it's marketing, but now I really want to confidently say that that's SEO because part of what you and I do, aside from, we do more than just Blue 7 content now. We consult with not just law firms, but also small businesses. And part of that is building the overall professional profile of somebody online and offline. And that's not easy. It's no longer a simple, we're going to pay you to do 50 blogs a month. Well, that we'll do it. Don't get you pay me to do it, I'll do it. But that's not going to be it's not going to get you the results you want. And in a month, when you get all those, and 2 months down the line, when they don't give you the results because you thought it was just one and done on this one thing, those days are
Yeah.
long gone. Uh, but so especially if you want to compete with the bigger players. Every
Yeah.
local, everybody has their law firm that they know that it's all over the billboards and the TVs. Here, George Sink or Akeem Anastapulo or Morgan and Morgan, just the United States of everything. Uh, you're not going to compete with their budgets, but you can compete by doing all of the stuff. Like there's stuff out there for you to grab. It's out there for the taking,
Yeah.
but you have to have a
Yeah.
good presence online and on your pages. And when you write your page, I don't want someone to land on your website onto your SEO content, even though it's not as much of the overall pie as it may have been 5 years ago. I don't want someone to land there and go, this is really subpar. This doesn't do, and then they back out and then they go somewhere else. So when they land on your website,
Yeah.
every piece should be written intentionally, right? So when we're working with our clients, we know that search has gone more semantic. And what we mean by semantic is this, before when you type into Google, when I still do this, we all still probably do this. You type in, you know, car accident lawyer near me, coffee shop near me, something near me.
Mhm.
Where can I buy this in my location? Google is going to do its thing. But people's conversations with AI are now just that. They're conversations. They're asking,
Mhm.
if I get injured in a slip and fall, what kind of money can I get? And the answer comes back. They look at it and then they ask a follow-up question. It answers and comes back. And hopefully, in theory, it has all those in text citations in the AI overview too. And if you do your job right, the pages that you wrote for your law firm, right? Now, the game is that everybody that's playing is doing kind of the same thing. It's how do you
Right.
differentiate yourself from this personal injury law firm from the personal injury law firm across town? So, what do you think about that?
Well, I have like a tangential thought
Fire away.
because just when you were saying about like semantics, so I remember I think it was like 2022 when this AI boom really happened,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that
It
was
was November, December 22. Yep.
yeah. And we were trying not to pee our pants, right? Because oh my God, the voices were loud. The AI voices were very loud.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is going to destroy your industry and this is
Oh,
going to
we were
take the
flat out
right.
told, remember the guy that told me that you're going to be out of
Oh
business
yeah.
in a
Oh
year?
yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. Here's what I love about like us in particular. If I can be like snobbish. So like that was also around the time when you were like, why does no one have an FAQ? Like FAQs were really only used for, at least in my understanding, was like festivals, right? Like events,
mm,
like frequently asked questions for an event, like where is it? How do you get in? What do you bring? What do you not bring? There was still a bunch of internal discussion in the SEO writing world about, like, do you use question marks on headers? Do you not? Like, sometimes it's a preference, sometimes, like, but I just remember we were like, why does no one have a fact like a fact sheet or like and I remember we started like launching that.
Mhm.
And I think that was a little bit of this little, like, balloon string that we were holding on to, like, "Hey, we're not AI, but, we know that if you incorporate these questions into your site, that it's going to
Yeah.
elevate and improve." And
Well,
it
it's
sure
like
did. I mean, it
yeah.
really did. But I think it's also like a, whether we knew it or not, this like precursor to semantic AI, right? Or semantic search, where it's really more about what are the general questions. And I think that in and of itself of asking an LLM, like, what are the most used questions that people are asking now? That is a great way to integrate, the tool of AI when orchestrating and putting together that page for your client.
Yeah, and some of the best sources of this information. We asked one of our consulting clients in the first meeting we had with her was, we said, come back to us, in a few days with 10 of the most common questions you get from clients that when you sit down with them. You're sitting down with a
Yep.
client, you're talking about their frustrations, their fears, their concerns. All of those are what they're typing in online. That whether you're a law firm, a financial advisor, it doesn't matter. That's all stuff we should be putting into content. Like, and
Yep.
that's what attorneys should be looking at the camera like we are now and making a video about. Because
Yep.
again, videos huge. If you're not doing video, that's okay. You don't have to do videos, but if you have even the inkling of the ability to do it, you probably should just put them on your
Do it.
website, put them out in your community across the social spaces because people are looking things that you want to be indexable with knowledge in your field in as many places as possible. Uh,
Yep.
and whether that's through and if you do the content game right, like if you do the page right, that piece of content is not just for your website, right? It's for your website. It can be for your newsletter, physical and email. It can be for all of your
Mhm.
socials. It can be chunked down into video scripts for your videos. Like use that if you're paying for a piece of content. Let's say you're paying 20 cents a word. You pay $400 for a 2,000 word something, uh, and you're just throwing it on your website, it's wasted, I think. It might get the job done for that particular part of the vertical, but why aren't you using the rest of it? If your page was
Yeah.
written by us, I can guarantee you we can chunk that down into your social posts, your graphics.
Yep.
I can make it into video scripts for you to look at the camera and say, this is what this means. Uh, you can use it in your email newsletters, and you can do that across the board. So I think that
Yeah.
really should where we're starting to steer the conversation anyway with all of our clients is this needs to be used across your ecosystem. That takes a chunk of organization up front because you really need to be able to have a pipeline of where this content has been used. But if you have a good team on their side of it, that's manageable and I think vital nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I really think it's also adding value back to the written word. So what we're going to write for you can also be taken and placed into these other, to what you said, your ecosystem, right? Your marketing ecosystem. And what a great value that is, because now not only do you not have to think about what to post, it's already there, and we can time those posts. I mean, imagine sitting down on a Sunday, not even, let me back up, on a freaking Monday morning, right? No one's working on the weekend. On a Monday
Except for
morning,
me.
I know, except for business owners. Anyway, no, just kidding. But on a Monday morning, right? And like you just paid $400 for this 2,000 word piece. And the information in that has such specifics that you could take that and make 5 LinkedIn posts that you can schedule that morning, just copy and paste it, or do a little intro and extra
Extra.
intro and conclusion, you know, and then boom, you're done for the whole week. You don't gotta, the only reason why you gotta look at LinkedIn It's just to
Respond to
talk.
the
If
comments.
someone
Respond to the
yeah,
comments.
post
Yep.
under the comments, respond to comments, like something, respond to someone else's post, like, that's it. You just got back not only brain power, right? Now you can focus on what you really need to focus on, and you don't have to worry about where is my next post going to come from. I think that is something that I really struggle with as an attorney, right? Like my brain is so consumed with the clients that I have, with what I have to do next. And so to have to write something on LinkedIn, it turns into more of a chore, and I get really resentful of that space.
Mm,
And but I also get clients from that space, so
yeah.
I can't be upset about it. So I really do. I think it just adds more value. And when you have a team in place, right, which is, I mean, just to give a pitch to us, right? Like for when you have a team like us in place in which we're able to very seamlessly and quickly, right, put these things in action for you, it makes it very it's just you're like, thank you so much for coming in and doing this and then
Yeah.
leaving, right?
And okay, so here, let's play a little game. I'm a client. I'm all right. So everybody, when clients come to us, they usually meet with Victoria and I together. But let's say Victoria's riding solo. She's an attorney. She's talking to another attorney. They're out to eat, and they say, "Listen, I can save all this money. I can use AI to do my content on my website. Why shouldn't I do that?" Uh, and they're coming to Victoria now. They're coming to you for because you're an attorney and a marketer. Uh, Realistically, what reason would you give them to hire a human, whether it's us to whether it's somebody else? Why not use AI? Everybody's using AI and telling them to.
Yeah, I mean, you for one, when you use AI, it might be good for that first page, but when you're doing multiple pages, it just gets more watered down, repetitive, blah blah blah. You're gonna need a human anyway. And by the time that that human goes in and edits that piece, it's the same amount as if you would have gotten that to write it anyway. Two, you can personalize it insofar, right? You can only personalize your AI insofar. And it takes a lot of brain power and time on your plate in order to do that when you can hire a human, right? Which is what we normally do anyway, is to just invest in a team to do it. And also, I mean, this is pretty cheeky of me, but like as attorneys, this is not our area of expertise. You know, this is not what we do. This is not, I'm into marketing because I love it, right? Like and this is just something that I nerd out about, right?
Right.
But and I've made it my expertise, but not all attorneys have that or care to know, and when you start to cut corners in any area, it always comes to bite you in the ass. Like it just does. If you are trying to use AIs in your legal practice, it's going without verification. Like if you wouldn't do that, why would you do that for your website? If
Well,
you're going to
if you're an attorney, you're not going to tell your clients to cut corners. You're going to tell them you don't cut corners with this estate plan. Don't cut corners with this child custody order, uh,
yeah,
because it's going to bite you. And
yeah,
I think we have been able to get such good results for clients with our writing, uh, and we're getting better at it. I'm not to say that we haven't done a good job ever since we've been out. We wouldn't be in business if we didn't. But we're getting better at it because clients are now realizing that they have to show a way to differentiate themselves. They can't do that without giving us the right information to do that. Because
mhm,
when you're prompting, it doesn't matter if you build a GPT or if you're using basic, whichever, Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT. Uh, how many law firms are in this country? Like a lot. I mean, there's a lot that do what you do. And
yeah,
if they're all doing the same things, AI is not giving Joe Schmo down the road different results than he's giving you. He's
yep,
giving you the exact same thing he's giving Joe Schmo, and now y'all are both posting the exact same thing, subbing each other's names out, changing the
Yep.
locations around a little bit, maybe rearranging the page. But look, again, we're getting to the enshittification of the internet as it is. And this just, it waters it down. And then we have AI feeding on AI, which is the ultimate, like, where are we going from here? Uh, but yeah, just keep in mind that when AI looks, it shoots back something that looks so credible, it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
It's like a drug because it's like, I just paid
Yeah.
this writer to do this, and this page looks so good, and there's no grammatical errors, there's no spelling errors. AI, it does a great
Yeah.
job. It is not going to give you something that is formatted incorrectly. It's going to give you great spelling. It's going because that's where it wins. But even
Yeah.
that, to a certain extent, just feels weird, but it's also
Well,
giving you the same thing everybody else is giving.
it's giving you the same thing, and it's not until, at least in I mean, I don't know, in my perspective and my use of it and my talking to other people who use it, it's once it starts that repetitive use, like the expanding pages, or like the giving it 8 pages in a row, it just all sounds the same. Like,
Yeah.
and it uses the exact same phrases, and it uses the exact same structure, and you can tell it, do it different, do it different, do it different. And then it comes out really butchered, and it doesn't sound normal. It doesn't sound like you. And so it has its limitations. And I know that there's a people in legal tech that are like, don't, you're like, no, it doesn't, it can do everything. And like, well, they're telling you that because they want you to pay for their product.
Well, and it
So
can do everything, but if you want it to do everything, it's gonna not really save you any money. It's just not.
yeah, because the amount of time that you got to put into it in order
Yeah,
to do it.
everything comes with a call. There's trade-offs. There's always trade-offs. Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I feel, and again, not to toot our horn, like we do what we do. We don't necessarily, we're not asking for your business. We're just telling you from our perspective what we have seen. We've grown, we've watched clients leave and come back because of AI. And you can usually tell when you've run across an AI page online. And again, at the end of the day, AI has trained on all the work that all of the legal content writers have been doing for years, even the
Facts.
bad stuff, like the good stuff
Yep.
and the bad. So it's drawing from what it already knows. So if you're trying to do something different because you have to now, because that's where we are in marketing, I don't know if AI is going to do it because all it knows is to do what's already there. It only knows the
Yeah.
past. It doesn't know the future. It doesn't know you. Uh, but a human writer with legal writing experience who understands the ethics pitfalls uh, can really craft a good page for you. And that's our
Yeah.
selling point right there.
Well, it's also like, for someone who's not in it, like you don't know what strategy to take. Like it's so much more than just saying, "Hey, write a practice area on a car accident." Like you don't know like you don't know that you need a why hire us. You don't know to tell it that. You don't know to tell it that you need an FAQ at the end. You don't know to tell it because you're not in this sphere. And so it just seems so silly to just rely so quickly, and be so trusting, when it's like, when you're in your practice, you wouldn't just, pump something in and have it come out and not do your due diligence.
Well, I always tell
Like, it
people
just
when
doesn't.
we've said multiple times online, do you know who's writing your legal content? Um,
Yeah,
do you know who or what?
that
I
too.
guess we should say who or what. All right. So if it's a human, you should know what their qualifications are, where they came from, and have they done it successfully before.
Yes.
That I can confidently say we have. If you are using a marketing agency, uh, know who your marketing agency is using as well, especially if you don't have a legal marketing agency and that's not all they do. Like I'm thinking of like,
Mhm.
when you have a Hennessy Digital, they're doing legal. But if you have
Yep.
someone that does all the industries and they're still providing your content, just know that the person writing that content, if it's not AI, is the same person who just wrote for the coffee shop, who wrote for the barbershop client of theirs, who's writing for the
Yeah.
construction client. Someone might be very capable of doing all that, but you're getting a generalist. And if they're
Yeah.
using AI and you don't know it, well, then you need to know it because if they are using AI, what's their vetting process internally for that? Ask your
Yeah.
marketing agencies these questions. Who's writing my content? Is it a machine or a human? If it's a machine, then it should be a human. If it's a human, you ask to talk to them. That'll be a real kicker because they might also be
Well,
outsourcing.
even if it is a machine, it's important to say who's then verifying that information.
Mhm.
What processes do you have in place to ensure that that AI content is matching not only the strategy, but is satiating whatever rules of conduct that are going on in your state versus marketing, poor marketing, or that it's matching the brand and vibe that you have.
Yeah.
Because, we're gonna be really transparent and honest. Like we did have a client of ours who said that they had a human page and an AI page, and the AI page is exceeding what the human page is doing.
Uh-huh.
And they're keeping a close eye on that. And I wish I asked more questions because I guarantee they didn't just copy and paste it. I know
Yeah.
they had to have done some alterations to it. I know because that's just what you have to do. Like, you have to copy and paste it, but then you have to read it to make sure,
Yeah, you really
you
need to have a
know? If
verification
they
system and
aren't
process.
reading it and they're just copying and pasting it and it's doing well, doing well for what and how? But anyway, that's like kind of further down the road. But I'm interested to see how it plays out. I love that we are not volatile to on each side, right? We're not like AI only, we're not like human only. We understand the significance of a tool. But I think what people are failing to do is ask the questions. Like, ask the marketing agency, ask the whatever. Because to be honest, if they're using just a machine and they're going to be charging you, $10,000 a month, which was a real number and figure that was given from someone who had used it, I'm like, that's absurd. That is absurd. Like,
Yeah, somebody's
you,
cutting costs and somebody's pocketing a
you're
lot of money, more money than they
scamming,
were pocketing. And again,
scamming.
not to, you know, call out our writers have been around for a while. They stuck with us and we know who they are. We've been able to verify their skills over the years, hone and refine their skills over the years, and they've changed with us. So anyway, y'all, that was just a ramble. Victoria and I have had some things on our mind, and we're like, let's just go talk about it to the camera and just put it out there. So,
Yeah.
uh, Victoria and I run Blue Seven Content. She's an attorney. I'm just a perpetual former educator turned marketer who loves what he does. Uh, if you want to have a conversation about AI or law firm SEO content, just message us on LinkedIn. We're always
Yeah.
there, so no problem at
Yeah.
all. We'd love to hear how. Hell, just pick our brains and we'll pick yours. So, anyway,
Yeah.
everybody, y'all have a great afternoon.